Where did my stop sign go? I think my stop sign fell. Oh dear. I cannot function without a stop sign. We all need a stop sign in life. Where are your stop signs? Here's one. With the Chirp YouTube channel. Today's video is how to play with trains at a moderate level. Moderate meaning your child is a little more verbal, a little more interactive, a little more willing to allow you to engage in activities with him. I'm saying him simply because of the overwhelming pile of boys who love trains. Not that girls don't love trains too, but there's almost zero boys I've known with autism who didn't love trains. So I thought this was a good toy to start our little play series with. Now, the first thing we want to talk about when we are at the moderate level playing with trains is we want to accept and enhance. This has other names depending on which sort of theory you're following, but the basic idea is kind of the same as in improv. In improv, your idea is to say yes and. So if somebody says, I'm a scarecrow, you say, okay, and I'm a crow. And then you play your scene out based on the and. And we're gonna do that with this toy too. If your child takes this engine, drives it, and says, go, you're gonna say, go fast, and you're gonna drive yours really fast. You might say, go slow. You might say, go in circles or go straight. There are all sorts of things. Be creative. Play is supposed to be fun and open-ended. You're not supposed to have a pattern that you follow. You're not supposed to do anything rote. You're supposed to be flexible, and it's supposed to be fun. So that's the idea of this first tip is say yes and. You might say cow friend, and then you get a person or another cow and they give little kisses because now the cow has a friend. You can do all sorts of things with this. You just want to maybe make the phrase 2 words instead of just 1. You may want to add a descriptor to the word, such as a color or an adjective describing the movement of the item or describing the shape or the size of the item. You may want to add a verb, like train, your kid says, and you say, train, go! And then the trains race. So you can add lots of different words to whatever the kid gives you to enhance the play opportunities of that particular item. Another thing you want to do at this level is hold your child accountable. We talked about kind of the same thing when we were discussing in the previous video at the beginner level. And I mentioned that we can't have our car just driving straight through the stop sign. We have to say, stop, car, stop. There are some rules even in our pretend world. We want to hold children accountable to some degree. At the moderate level, we want to make sure that we give the child some choices. Red engine or blue engine? Offer the child something from the box of train accoutrements. And when the child says red engine, but reaches for the blue engine, don't give him the blue engine. That would be crazy. Say red engine and give him the red engine. Same deal, cow or horse. If he says horse, make sure that he takes the horse. Sometimes, especially when there's an auditory processing difficulty, which that's part of communication. So most children with autism have difficulty with this, especially when your auditory processing is kind of clogged up, a little slow, a little miswired sometimes, and you're kind of excited because you're playing with a toy that you really enjoy, like a train set, and it's got, oh, My celebration caboose potentially needs some new batteries. Oh well, I was gonna have celebration, but we can't because the celebration caboose cannot participate with us today. He is under the weather. But especially when there are celebration cabooses involved in our train set, kids get excited, and that also contributes to difficulty with auditory processing. So sometimes you will say something, you will give a child a choice, and he will just repeat the last thing that you say, even if that's not what he wants, just because it's the last thing that's in his buffer, his brain buffer. So if you say red or blue, he might say blue even though he wants red. Keep your eyes open for that, and make sure that if he says blue but reaches for red, you correct him and say red. Or you just give him blue and wait for him to protest, and then say, oops, I want red, and then give him red. My next tip at the moderate play level with trains is to have the train cars and the animals interact with each other. There's a reason why the Thomas the Tank Engine trains are especially great for kids with autism, and it's because they are personalized. They have faces. This one doesn't, but this is from my Target train set. We like toys with faces because this means that it's more reasonable that they should interact with each other. However, this train can interact with other trains just as well. So for example, if the trains are just driving along the track, have your car say to your child's car, "How are you today?" Your child might respond or might not, and if not, you can say in a different voice, "I'm great, it's a sunny day and I like the sun. How are you?" And then you can say, "Just great," and then you can drive along down the track together. We want interpersonal interactions to be going on during play, even if traditionally these would be thought of as inanimate objects. We want to animate everything. Pretend it's a cartoon. Everything talks. The fork, the toilet, it all talks. Just be creative. Make conversations between items, because play is one of the ways that kids learn how to interact with people. And interacting with people can be challenging. This is one of the reasons why kids with autism really love trains, is because traditionally trains don't talk to each other. And this means it's much easier for those kids to play with trains because they don't have to think about how to make the trains interact with each other. All they have to do is build the train track and drive the trains around. This train set came with people, which most of the time my students tend to leave in the box. But I like to get these people out. I like to have them watching the trains go by. I like to have them commenting on their favorite train or something that happened. That train almost crashed. Oh my goodness, the bridge is blocked. What will happen? They need to talk so that our kids can get used to how people interact with each other. And so that eventually the kids will start involving themselves in the interactions of these people also. I will put a link to a train set down below that has all these people. Most of them do now. I don't think most of them are just the trains, but I'll make sure to link a good one down there below for you. I don't know if this specific one is available anymore, but this one's been really sturdy. I got it at Target and I'm pretty impressed. My last hint on the moderate play level with trains is to mess with your kids' preferred routine. Usually kids will have a routine that kids with autism are very particular in how things happen. This happens in play as well as in everything else. They like to orchestrate the world around them because then it's predictable. And things that are predictable feel a little safer, especially to kids who feel kind of out of control in their day-to-day lives because grown-ups kind of boss everything around and tell them exactly what to do. Well, in play, it's supposed to be flexible. And we need to help our kids get a little more flexible so that they can enjoy more play opportunities and so that they can play with other kids. Because if you're really rigid when you're playing, other kids don't want to play with you. Sad but true. So, we are going to help our kids be less rigid by messing with things just slightly. This is called playful obstruction. There's another word too, playful sabotage, which I think sounds very cool, sort of like a spy. If you think of yourself as a spy, you are investigating your child's play routine. Let's say your child always takes this red Celebration James and drives him around in a circle, stops, picks up a caboose. This is the Celebration caboose, how convenient. And then drives around in a circle again. And then stops and then picks up another car or something like this. Let's just choose an easy routine. What you want to do is when your child is driving around this James, sneakily take this Celebration James and switch it out for this other caboose. What a shock. When your child goes to put it on, in which case you want to prompt something like, wrong caboose, and then say, oh, whoops, this one? And your child will say yes or grab it and then do his thing again. You just kind of want to keep messing with things just enough that your child doesn't have a meltdown and yet isn't completely comfortable either. There's a sweet spot that we call the zone of proximal development, and in play and social skills, in fact in every area, it's the area where we as a human being are slightly uncomfortable, but not so uncomfortable that we're out of control. That's what you want to do. You want to find the amount of pressure that you can put on your child because you're changing things just slightly. You're not allowing that routine to go quite as smoothly, and so your child has to cope with a bit of tension, but your child is still having fun. Those are my tips for playing with trains at a moderate level. Come back next time for a video about playing with trains at an advanced level. See you then. Bye.